Hi, I'm Tony Clark from Backpack Bed for Homeless. I'm with Dr. Chezeray in Chicago. He is an incredible individual. He has been there and done that. He has seen the backpack bed. He's rolled out the backpack bed. He knows people who need the backpack bed. Doctor, can you please tell me why you think folks that you're working with need the backpack bed?
I think that they need the backpack bed because it fills the issue that they didn't even know they had yet. I can think of dozens of people instantly who have been asking for tents and asking for other things. And when they see the backpack bed, they will be able to say, this is what I didn't know that I needed, but it solves the immediate problems that I have, particularly as a stopgap, as me and the rest of my team do our work to get them housed. But in the meantime, when it takes into consideration their physical needs, their security needs, their safety needs, and many of their psychological needs, as well as we take them through the process. This is a great product.
How do you, Doctor, do you think, you're a doctor and you know a lot of things and you've seen a lot of ideas that are interesting, but it's going to save lives. What's your thoughts of that? That's one thing for me to say, but do you think it's going to save lives? And
it's
how
definitely
quickly?
going to save lives because it's a God idea. This is a God idea. The Bible says that God wishes that none should perish. This will definitely stop people from perishing, especially in the harsh Chicago winters.
And how does it make you feel when you're dealing with folks and they've perished needlessly?
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, but one thing that we have come to realize that for those who live on the street, the paradigm has been, if you live on the street, you will ultimately die on the streets.
Really?
This can help actually create a paradigm shift.
So how important is it to get people who have been long-term on the street and get an engagement tool to reconnect with that individual to not lose hope? How important is that? And do you think the backpack bed could help you?
It is extremely helpful. One thing when it comes to our outreach teams, we consider ourselves bridge builders from degradation to dignity. This is a step along that bridge. And another thing about building the trust is when we offer individuals the pathway to a new life, because of the fact that so many times they haven't been able to see it or have been disappointed by other systems in the past, this represents a paradigm shift in the nature of the work that we do.
So you're saying that this is actually going to really make an impact on reconnecting. And
it is.
You talked about trust. Tell me more about trust and how important that is with people you're working with and how this might be able to help them.
Well, without trust, we can't do our job. And unfortunately, for many years, there's 68,000 homeless people in Chicago alone. And the question becomes, how did they get there? How do we get to such a number? Only because of the fact that there have been such failings in the past. This team, such as myself, the Street Samaritan, my co-workers, we go out with a dedication. We have an unwritten rule, per se. It's not in the books, but it's an unwritten philosophy. Our goal is to work ourselves out of a job.
I love that.
Our goal is to work ourselves out of a job. Though Jesus said that the poor you shall have with you always, it doesn't mean that the same people have to have the same experiences of poverty always.
Oh, preach it. That is
and the same thing is
dumb.
true for those we may have homelessness for who knows how long. It doesn't mean that the individuals who are experiencing homelessness today have to be experiencing homelessness tomorrow. This type of product will immediately engage trust factors because it's so useful.
Wow.
It is so useful. Somebody who represents the system and say, no, we are different here. You see what I'm saying?
What's your thoughts about Goodnight Chicago? What's your thoughts?
I think this is a God idea manifested through God's people.
That's scary, you know that, don't you?
It can be scary, but one thing about it, we don't have to necessarily, it's not it is not us in our own strength that is doing this. It is not necessarily you in your own strength. It is it is the providence of what God has entrusted to each and every. I didn't know I was looking for this product until I met you today.
Wow.
I didn't know that something was in existence. As I'm doing my daily work, that hey, all the way on the other side of the globe is a man and a team that has an idea that can solve my problems thousands of miles away, make my job easier, thousands of miles away.
Well,
And that shows you just how
I'm grateful you said. I want you to put me on your prayer list, please, because
indeed. And that shows you just how, the Bible says that the globe is God's, the earth is God's footstool, which means He walks everywhere. He said, "Oh, you got a problem over here? Well, I got a solution over here. Let me create that bridge that unites the two." And that's what this is.
That's preaching it. And every now and then we would need to listen to preaching, because we're just doing our best out here. And as you know, there's a lot of people that are suffering, dying, needlessly suffering.
Yeah.
And we need to make change for that. And so working with Good Samaritans, the Street Samaritans, and others in Goodnight Chicago is a way the community joins together and tries to deal with a massive death crisis that's about to hit Chicago, especially when the migrants are released from the shelters at the end of this year in the most cruelest temperatures of January and February Chicago.
Yes.
We need to be ready. So Goodnight Chicago is a way we can do that. And we're so glad that Street Samaritans can see what's necessary
Indeed.
to make an impact for your community. Blessings. Doctor, do you have any messages for other homeless agencies that have not heard about this but need to be involved? Do you have a message for them?
I do. You mentioned preaching, and the Bible says that Noah preached to his generation because of a natural disaster that was on the way called the Great Flood. The salvation was the ark.
Wow.
The material thing, the salvation was the ark. Now, unfortunately, only eight souls got on the ark with Noah, but this could be literally an ark for many others. So this is a form of ministry and preaching.
Yeah. Doctor.
Many people confuse the church with kingdom. This is kingdom work right here. This isn't just church work. This is kingdom work.
And this is something we need to hear and we need to be reminded of. And we shouldn't be afraid to hear how the Bible works and what it can do.
Yeah.
Because we're just walking here, walking on water, and all we want to do is help people. Doctor, thank you so much for today. You're a blessing. I can't wait to do a massive impact for you.